Welcome to another episode of Lawyer Up and to the Right. If you're here, you know that search marketing is important, but I also know that you've probably tried it before and it probably hasn't worked for you. So we're going to talk about 4 reasons why the SEO has not worked for your law firm and what you can do to fix it. I'm joined here by my partner, Cesar Cobo. How we doing today, man?
Doing great.
I get asked about it all the time. I do all the sales for our agency, and we do search marketing as a service. It's to me the best way to generate leads. But the number one rebuttal that I get asked from law firms is, "I've done it before. Like, it didn't work. What do you do differently? It was expensive." And that's exactly what we're going to talk about today. The first reason here is you didn't manage your expectations. It could have been oversold by an agency that you worked with, which happens quite a bit. But something that I think is important is you have to have a certain level of self-awareness with where your law firm is versus the market. So we're in Miami, brutally competitive market. You got the Morgan & Morgans here, you got the Rubenstein laws. If you just opened up shop in the last couple of years and you haven't really done too much marketing, you're probably not going to rank first and you're probably not going to see results as quickly as you might expect. So it's really, really important that you manage your expectations, you taper them down. But within that too, I want to talk a little about the SEO process because part of it was that you were probably not fully educated on the SEO process and what it takes. So Cesar, why don't you take over for me here and talk a little about the 4-part SEO process?
Starting from the very top there, the first thing is to get your pages indexed. And this is very much algorithmic. Google does not index every page that they discover. So just because you publish a page today doesn't mean that it's going to be eligible to even rank in Google in the first place today or tomorrow or next week. So indexation refers to Google putting your page inside of their database, and that page then being eligible to be shown in the search results when somebody is looking for what the page pertains to.
Yeah, and I kind of liken this also to a little bit kind of like dangling a carrot, right? Kind of like chasing a carrot, if you will, because all these things do go in order after indexation, after your pages are picked up and they're in Google's index. If you literally think about Google like a catalog, right? Like in order to rank, to get the traffic, to get the leads, you first have to be picked up in their index. So that's the first part, indexation. Next part here is ranking. So after you index, now you want to move up the ranking. So if you're indexed, you might not be ranking within the top 5, the top 100, whatever that may be. Over time, we want to improve your rankings, right? As you improve your rankings, the next things that come is traffic. And then after traffic comes conversion. So a lot of times, if you're working with an SEO agency, like I said, they overpromise and always underdeliver. They probably didn't walk you through this full process, right? To really have you understand exactly what's going on. So Cesar, talk to me a little bit about how we can force this process on a website over here with the SEO process.
So to keep it very simple, we've bucketed this into these 4 topics: technical, content, links, and then local. Technical simply is making sure that your pages and your website structure are friendly to Google to easily crawl and understand your page. Then, of course, once you have that in place, is the content. So content is really important to make sure that you're giving the reader what it is that they're looking for. So content heavily ties to things like keyword research, to topic ideation. So basically the content that's on the page needs to match what the intent of that user was in the first place. That not only is going to lead to a better user experience because people are going to get the information that they're looking for, but this is also a big part that's baked into the Google algorithm where they can algorithmically tell whether or not this content is what they consider to be helpful or worthy of them to rank. Then you have links, and what we're referring to here is both external and internal backlinks. And the internal part of this is where a lot of people go wrong or they miss the boat on. But how you link within your website is just as important as the links that you're getting from external websites. So the relevancy of the links, depending on how authoritative your website is, if you have a very high authoritative website, then your internal links are going to carry more weight to your other pages. So if you want to spread the love to the other pages on your website so that they rank better, then those internal links are really important. If you don't have as high of an authoritative website, then backlinks, in other words, links that are coming from external websites, are going to be more important in that case. And then lastly here, the local, what we're talking about here is the Google business profile, which is ultimately where 60, 70, 80% of your leads are going to come from. This is a separate algorithm that's decoupled from the general blue links or the organic search, if you will. But again, here it's about optimization of that listing itself, and it's about getting on the right directory so that you start to build up enough trust and authority in Google's eyes so that you earn those first place rankings, not just in organic search, but also in the map listings.
So the next one up here is you don't have the authority. And we have this broken down into 3 different pieces. So one of them, Cesar alluded to, which is links. A link, just for context, say Huffington Post writes an article about the 10 best law firms in Miami, and they include your law firm on there. What they'll do is they'll attribute back to your website with that link. That link is still one of the most important ranking factors in Google. That's why we tackle it for our clients. Cesar was just talking about it on the slide before. The amount of links, the quantity, the quality, the relevancy of those links is key. Not all links are created equal. So a lot of the times you got a brand new website, you haven't been marketing that much, you haven't been in business for very long, you probably haven't picked up very many links, which means you can't even really enter the ranking question because you're competing against a lot of other websites that have been entrenched on the internet for years, sometimes decades, that have picked up a lot of links, which also we call authority. This takes time. There's no way around it. There's a number of ways that we generate links for clients, but realistically, you're looking at 6 to 12 months of really good SEO and link building to put you into the authority equation if you're in a competitive market like Miami and you're in a competitive space like personal injury. The next one is reviews. Reviews skews a little bit more on the local side. So getting reviews to your Google business profile, to your Yelp profiles, really to any online aggregator, specifically Google business profile, which is the most important one, is another very, very, very important ranking signal, mainly for the local algorithm, which again, Cesar alluded to, is probably going to drive the most leads for you. Reviews are impossible to fake. It's not good to fake them either. There's some legal repercussions to that possibly, but getting reviews is another way that you can build authority, trust, not only with Google, but also searchers. The more reviews that you have, the more, click-throughs and the more attention that your profiles are going to get. And the final one is trust. So trust is another big ranking, a little bit obscure when it comes to Google, but another big ranking factor. The way that Google looks at trust is authority through content, right? So having all the right content built out on your website, but not just your website, right? Are you being featured on other websites? Are you going on podcasts and things like that on other websites? Are you getting featured in news and press? Trust is a really big thing with Google, again, especially when we're talking about trying to rank in a very, very competitive space that is law. Think about it this way: when I went back and talked about the first thing, which is managing your expectations, Google doesn't want to rank a brand new website from a lawyer that has no experience, that has no reviews, that has no content, that has no authority or trust on other websites in the form of links or content, because they don't want to recommend you if you haven't really been proven to the market. Google's one main job is to provide accurate, relevant, fast search results to users. They do that by making sure that the websites that they're serving meet their criteria. And trust is a very big part of that, especially in the legal space. They don't want to be sending you to some backdoor law firm who's not doing a good job for their clients. So building trust is an incredibly, incredibly powerful thing that you need to do, which ultimately ties into the overall authority, aka ranking power that your website has. So the next one up is you follow the wrong strategy. And this is probably not your fault because you probably work with an agency that didn't really know what they were doing. But when we come over here to Google and we take the keyword Miami personal injury attorneys, I want to run you through exactly what we're seeing here, because a lot of agencies and a lot of law firms that we talk to are running on an outdated operating system. They're running on a strategy that they've been running since 2012, and it just doesn't work anymore. So when I say running on a strategy since 2012, it means that the process that they're following and what they're optimizing for is no longer a priority with Google. So you take your main keyword, you search for it, and you're going to see a number of what I call products within Google search. The first product that we see here are these 2 ads up top. These are called local service ads. These are different than the next thing that we see, pay-per-click ads. These are run through a local service ads platform. These are run through the AdWords platform. Local service ads are tied to your Google business profile. You can see the picture, you can see reviews. Down here, this is tied to a landing page that you create. These are pay per lead, these are pay per click. Completely different. Now, especially in the injury space, we're talking about pay per click upward of $500, but you can actually generate leads and phone calls here for about $150, right? And the most important thing here is not about whether it's LSAs versus pay per click. It's about the prominence that Google is giving, the real estate that they're giving to these two products. Google makes all their money off ads. Ads are always going to be on top. So even though we're talking about SEO here, we really look at search marketing in general as what's happening in Google. We're kind of agnostic whether it's SEO, organic, paid, whatever that is, because our job is not just to get impressions and rankings and traffic, right? It's to get conversions, it's to get you leads, it's to make you more money, to get you more clients and cases. And we want to make sure that we're always putting our clients in the best position to do so. And the biggest part of that is understanding what is Google doing with the real estate that they have. They're giving this prime real estate to LSAs. So this is definitely something that you're going to want to consider. Again, we scroll down here, we say pay per click. And the next part here is the first organic placement that we see, which is Google Maps pack. So Cesar has said before that this placement here will drive up to 60, 70, 80% of clicks and phone calls from all of these searches. Why? Well, first and foremost, people know that these are ads. They still drive a lot of good results, but people are not dumb and they want to see something organic. And the other thing is, one, the amount of space and size that this takes up, it dominates the amount of real estate here. Two is people can see the map. They can see proximity to where they're searching. All of the keywords that you're going to want to rank for are going to be locally modified, right? It's going to have a location or a near me tied to it. Anytime that there's a location or a near me tied to it, it's going to trigger this maps pack result, right? And that's because people want to see local results. The other thing here is there's reviews. This is basically like a website within a website. People don't actually have to leave Google to get the results that we want. And we know that searchers prioritize convenience. I mean, shit, we do it all the time. That's why Uber Eats and Netflix have blown up, because convenience is something that's within human nature. So because they don't have to go to a website and pop open 10 different tabs in the browser, this is a very, very prominent, good placement. So if you're not optimizing for local, then you're not going to really be able to show up here. And in order to show up here, you have to have a verified office location, which is another part of the strategy that you're really going to want to push. So then we get down here into what I call the traditional blue link organic listings, right? So just think about this. If the strategy that you're running, when I say the data operating system, is traditional SEO, you're really only optimizing yourself to show up here. And when we look at here, first of all, Google suppressed this all the way down at the bottom. Very few people are actually scrolling this far down. But then from a searcher point of view, you're basically seeing all the same things. There's nothing to really distinguish. All the titles are basically the same, right? And then on top of that, which makes this even more challenging, is that we see sites like Super Lawyers, FindLaw. We also see these other organic listings down here. Justia. Basically, there's 6 true organic listings here. Only 3 of them are actually law firm websites. So it's a minefield, right? And again, if you wonder why your SEO hasn't worked, you could have been ranking, you could have been getting those impressions, you could have been even maybe getting the traffic, but you're not getting the conversions because you're not getting enough opportunities. Because if you're not optimized and taking up real estate on top of the SERPs, which again is taking up so much of the attention and eyeballs, then you're never going to get the results that you wanted. And that's really, to me, the biggest reason why so many law firms fail at SEO, is because they're working on an outdated operating system. They're optimizing for the website like it's 2015, and Google's changed. There's so many things that are happening within Google now that have really just pushed out, and Google wants to do this too. Google makes no money off this stuff here. Google doesn't care for these things. They want to suppress this. They want to show things that, one, searchers want, which is the maps pack, and 2, things that are going to make them money, which are ads. So I really, really encourage you to look at your search strategy and ask yourself, like, were we really doing what's best for the optimizing within the entire search presence, all of Google's presence, or are we just saying we want to rank organically and we're going to do, the traditional way? So the final piece here is that you hired the wrong agency. And I get it. There's a lot of SEO agencies out there that are making a lot of big promises, maybe even throwing some guarantees at you. But the reason why we made this video is because I see this on a daily basis. I talk to at least 3 law firms a day. And the amount of outdated strategies, the amount of misinformation, the amount of mismanaged expectations, the amount of misunderstanding about what's really happening here. And I get it. SEO agencies are just like this guy here, little snake oil salesman, but you have a responsibility to your business to educate yourself to a certain point, right? You are going to be spending a lot of money on this because you need it. Like there's no way around it. Search marketing is going to be the number one lead source for your law firm, hands down. There's a bunch of things that you can do, but search is going to be the most impactful. And agencies know that, and they're preying on you because there's a big dollar sign on your back, especially if you're in the injury, accident, divorce space. We know how much money you make. We just do. And we're going to charge because of that. So you need to be able to have these conversations with agencies to make sure that they're up to date, that they're operating on a strategy that's going to put you in that best position, not to just get traffic, but ultimately to get leads. So if your law firm needs help with any of this stuff, this is what we do. And we will give you an honest assessment of your website and how far you are away from getting real traffic and real leads. All you got to do is hit the link below, schedule a call, and I will personally talk to you myself.